Hey there, welcome to Golf Live. I'm Ryan Aselta. Fall is here and the golf fans, that means we're in the thick of the playoff season, of course, as the PGA Tour returns from a week off. We got a cool show lined up for you today. Our gadget guy, Josh Sens, is back with another review of a quirky golf product. Plus, Jessica Marksbury shares a round with the 15th ranked player in the world, Justin Rose. And Tiffany Oshinsky sits down with Joelle Grunberg, the president and CEO of Lacoste North America. She's going to talk about the company's design of the President's Cup uniforms, which will debut at the matches here in the tri-state area in just a couple of weeks. But first, the PGA Tour is back for the third leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, the BMW Championship outside of Chicago. Top 70 are at Conway Farms. Only 30 are going to advance to the Tour Championship at East Lake. Golf.com's Jeff Ritter and Dylan DeChair join me now to discuss. And guys, the chase for the FedEx Cup continues. Their guys are back from this week off, a rare week off in the middle of the playoffs. Jeff, do you think there's anyone out of this 70, maybe higher up in the playoff standings, that are going to benefit from having a little bit of rest going into the BMW?
It could happen. I wonder about the guys, too, that have been riding a hot streak. I mean, anybody that's ever played blackjack knows when you're at a hot table, you don't stand up and walk away, right? You want to stay there. So I would think maybe the break could be a good reset for some of the guys that are struggling or on the cut. And the first guy I start with is Rory. I mean, I don't know. It's been a weird summer for him, and we're looking at potentially a lost season for him at this point. But, you know, for me, it was actually kind of a surprise that he played in the FedEx Cup playoffs, given that he talked about how he was still being sort of affected by that rib injury or back injury after the PGA Championship. So let's see what he's got. You know, he's got a week off now to reset, get himself right. It's going to take probably a top 3 finish to make it to East Lake, but it's a course that sets up well with him, and I am once again, he's fooled me all summer. I felt like he was going to win more than he has and had a better year, but he's got one more chance this week to get right and make something happen.
What do you think, Dylan? Could it hurt or help anyone this week with that week off?
Yeah, this is kind of taking the other side of that, but I think you can go right to the top and look at a guy, Justin Thomas, who obviously won the last event. Winning's tiring. I walked around in Boston with Justin in the final round, and just the stress of being in contention, and then the attention afterwards from the press, from the fans. You're signing autographs, you're shaking hands all night. You see that a lot on tour. Guys will win an event and then miss the cut the next week. Hopefully he's got some time now to kind of skip that process and get fully reset going to Conway.
You hope it doesn't have the reverse effect, though. He's so hot. He's got the win at the PGA, the win at the Dell, the 6th place at the Northern Trust. 12 of his last 16 rounds are in the 60s. You hope he doesn't cool off by having to stay away from the golf course. A lot on the line overall this week. The coveted spot to have after the BMW would be in the top 5 of the FedEx standings. That would mean you control your own destiny at the Tour Championship. You win, and you win the playoff title. Plenty of golfers, though, can also play their way into East Lake. Guys, Dylan, is there maybe a guy in that 31 to 45 stage of the standings that could play himself right into the Tour Championship and really cap off a good end to the season?
Yeah, like you said, you really want to be in that top 5 just mathematically to have a chance at winning the Cup itself. But I looked at the Tour Championship as kind of a way to cap off the season. So it feels right to have Sergio there, right? He was an important part of this year's storylines, winning at the Masters. And another guy, Ian Poulter, who just earlier this year was, in danger of losing his card. It basically came down to math, and, a math error kept him in. And now he's on the cusp. If he has a good week, I think a top 5 might get him in that top 30, which would be a pretty cool way to cap it off.
What do you think, Jeff? I don't know about Sergio. No top 10s on the PGA Tour since the Masters. His focus, his motivation, I don't know if it's all there. Anyone else you see playing themselves into that top 30?
Sergio's had a busy year.
Yeah.
Since he won the Green Jacket,
got a lot going
married.
on.
Yeah, he's had a good year no matter what happens for him this week. I look at Phil this week. You talk about motivation. Mickelson's on that President's Cup team, but he doesn't want to just get on the team. He wants to show up at Liberty National ready to go. He needs a good week here to get to East Lake and get another week of practice in, under the fire of competition. So he's just outside the line now. I think he's sitting at 36th. So top 10 finish here this week should do it. He had a top 10 finish last week under the, extra motivation to make a good impression for Steve Stricker. So I think he's rounding into form. I think he's fully motivated, and I think he makes it to East Lake.
Make no doubt, that top 30 is big. Not just to the Tour Championship. You get in all 4 majors if you get into that top 30, which is motivation alone itself. Let's talk more about Phil, Jeff. 36th, as you mentioned. He gets the nod on the President's Cup team. Do you think that is the little boost that he maybe needed to cap off this year, maybe have a good finish at the BMW, play himself to Atlanta, and cap off this 2016-17 season?
I think for Phil, the team events, it's extra motivation for him. I think the President's Cup is a bigger motivator than even playing at East Lake. It's all about, for him, this international competition. It's brought out the best golf in him, really, ever since he won the British Open a few years ago. That was his last victory on tour. But since that time, he played great at the President's Cup in Korea. He was fantastic at the Ryder Cup last year. And I think he's going to be great again at Liberty National, because there's just something about these team events that give him that spark. I think he's rounding into form just in time again.
What do you think, Dylan? You saw Phil up in Boston. He talked a lot about having trouble the last few months about visualizing his shots, especially his short game. His focus was off, and he actually had that addressed by a doctor. He didn't get into the details what the doctor found, but he said up in Boston, that was the most focus he's felt in months. Did you see a little bit of a change in Phil in the way he played up at the Dell compared to what we've seen this year?
Sure, yeah. I mean, he looked more engaged, I think, than we've seen him since the breakup with Bones. It was interesting watching him with his caddy, with his different team members just around the putting green. It was really fascinating to watch Phil, but I'm not sure this is necessarily going to be his week, just because every year or every event this year with Phil, it's like you expect him to do one thing, he does the other. But I actually think that that's okay. If he doesn't have a good week, maybe he gets an extra week off to prepare for the President's Cup. And I think you're right, Jeff, that he draws so much energy from being around the American team, from being in team competition, that I think that'll be, that's where he really wants to be anyway.
So Phil obviously trying to play himself into the top 30. One player comfortably in that top 30 already, though, is Brooks Koepka. Koepka is 9th in the playoff standings, though he hasn't won an event since the U.S. Open back in June. I recently had a chance to sit down with the U.S. Open champion and talk about his major mindset that has helped him in the biggest events, but one he struggles to carry over week in and week out on the tour. All right, Brooks, playoffs are going to wrap up what's really been a career-changing year for you. What have the past 3-4 months been like for you personally?
It's actually been pretty normal, to be honest with you. I'm not going out, I'm not showboating it. I just wanted to spend some time with some family and just hang out with friends. But it has been a good year. Major was nice. It was kind of something we were expecting, I guess. I kind of hope I'd have had, maybe another 1 or 2 wins in there, but it's fine. I'll take it.
Is there a sense of satisfaction? I know you said you expected this, so it wasn't a surprise that you won the U.S. Open, but was it satisfaction and then, okay, let's go get a few more?
Yeah, we celebrated, relaxing with some family and friends, but then, it was fun. I was excited to get back into the ropes, get back to playing golf.
Has anything changed for you? I know, we walked through the gallery. There's a lot of Brooks calls now, a lot of autographs being signed. Have things changed a little bit for you when you at a tour event or away from the course?
To be honest, not really. I've always been someone that's kind of shied away from it. I don't really like that much attention. I've always been that way. I just want to chill, just want to take it easy. But this is what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Would you describe yourself as a pretty laid-back guy?
Yeah, I'm very chill.
Yeah.
Very laid back, just like take everything easy, kind of how it comes, and not take anything for granted. I've enjoyed it, every minute of it, and I'm excited and looking forward to the next one.
How much do you think that personality trait of being chill, being laid back, how much has it helped you on the golf course, you think?
A lot. I think it has. I used to be a hothead. Back in college, it was something I was not very good at. I struggled with. Still get angry every once in a while, and still trying to work on that. I think that's something everybody battles. Body language gets down and kind of things like that, and it doesn't really lead to anything other than just poor shots. I couldn't understand a bad shot, and sometimes when you get out here and you realize these pins are 3 on and 4 from the right over a bunker on a downslope, you can't get that close to the pin. Sometimes you just got to settle for 15 feet and realize how difficult these courses are.
When you think back to Erin Hills, is there a signature moment, a signature memory that just sticks out from, it must have been a whirlwind of a week, but now that you're a couple months removed, is there one moment that tops on your list?
To be honest with you, it was after the fact. We were actually sitting in the plane. We were headed out, and my girlfriend was there, my coach, my caddy, and my manager. We were all sitting there, and I remember looking at the trophy and just kind of reading the names on it and realizing that, you know, Dustin, one of my best friends out here, you know, right below his name. And then, you know, basically the reason I think anybody my age is playing golf is because of Tiger, and I looked across and there's Tiger's name. So, I mean, I've even got goosebumps thinking about it now, you can see, and it's pretty cool. You know, I kind of had a moment and I broke down a little bit, if I'm honest, and it was cool just to realize, you know, that you spend your whole life kind of working for, and then kind of realization sets in, and you're like, I just want another one.
Let me ask you about the majors. Your track record, last 10 majors, worst finish is T21, I think. What do you credit that to? Why, in the biggest stages of the game, do you seem to play your best golf?
I love it. I just love the competition, the fact that it's the one, you know, there's 4 tournaments a year. The majors are the ones you want to win. That's really what you want to do. And every time, you know, you tee it up, I feel like there's such a big importance on playing the weekend. You know, I'm grinding my butt off those first 2 days to make sure that I've got a chance going in the weekend to actually win the thing. And to be honest with you, I need to do it actually in more golf tournaments. I think that's kind of the reason why I haven't played so well in the actual regular PGA Tour events. It's been a patience thing. You know, you get out here every once in a while and you're trying to win it on Saturday, and that's not the case. You can't win it till the back nine on Sunday. So it's, I stay very patient. I kind of accept what the golf course gives me. I accept, you know, a bad shot here and there, and try to never make a double bogey. That's kind of my thing.
Is that something, you mentioned seeing Tiger's name, who you idolized as a kid on the US Open trophy. Is that something you learned from him? I mean, everything for Tiger was about the majors. You're a guy who's saying it, that's 4 times a year, that's what it's about. I've had other tour pros tell me that they don't put the majors any higher than any tour events. It's just about wins. Where did that come from? Has it always been since you started your career, or did you kind of listen to someone like Tiger to put the emphasis on it?
No, it was like that for me. I don't even want to say it was Tiger. It was more of just, I mean, to be a major winner. You know, it was kind of funny. I was talking to actually Rich Beam about it. Over the course of history, there's only been about 270 major winners, which is pretty unique. So, and think how many guys have played on the PGA Tour and been in that club. You know, to put my name on that trophy was pretty special, and you know, to be a part of that group is neat.
All right, guys, Brooks said in the interview he thrives under pressure at the majors, but has had trouble carrying that over in non-major events. Pretty interesting perspective that he admitted that. Dylan, you've played plenty of competitive golf. Do you think there's more guys than we would imagine that feel that way? That, you know, they focus in on these majors, they get so amped up, and then they would go to the John Deere or the Travelers, they have trouble, you know, getting that energy level back up?
Yeah, it's really interesting because this is something that's come up more and more. With Rory McIlroy, we've talked about it more, of just this idea of complacency. And it's, I think, partly a byproduct of how much money has come into the game. You know, you don't have to win every week to make millions of dollars every year. You've got 100 guys that are pretty much clearing $1 million in prize money every year. I think we also got spoiled with Tiger, had this almost irrational desire to win, like a need to win. He said it didn't matter if it was golf or ping pong. He just needed to win. And that's tough to imagine. You know, once you've won 70 tournaments, how much do you really need to win that 71st? Tiger did need to. And I think we really got spoiled watching that.
Yeah, another Tiger effect, I think, from this is Tiger put such an emphasis on the major championships. His tacking Jack Nicklaus's record on his wall as a kid, and the majors have become even more of an emphasis on the game of golf. And so it's not surprising to me that players now coming up through the ranks, those are those 4 weeks that they really want to peak for, and Koepka's another example of that.
Yeah, Koepka will be a part of the President's Cup team for the U.S., which is a big event, should suit him well. He performed very well at the Ryder Cup, if you remember. He was 3-1-1. He pounded Danny Willett on the Sunday singles. When you look at him, a big young gun, long hitter at Liberty National come just a couple weeks from now. Jeff, who would you like to see Steve Stricker pair Koepka with at the President's Cup?
This is a good one because he's kind of a free agent now. He teamed with Snedeker at the Ryder Cup, and that worked great, but Brandt's not on this team at Liberty National. So I don't know. I kind of like, Now that he's an experienced guy, I'd be inclined to pair him with one of the new guys. I look at maybe Kevin Chappell or Daniel Berger, but they did pair him with Dustin Johnson at Glen Eagles as well. They didn't win that match, but I like that pairing from just a fun group to watch to the biggest hitters on tour.
Is there enough fairway for the two of them
exactly.
out there?
So maybe selfishly, I just want to see DJ and Koepka again, but I think maybe for the team, I would be tempted now to take Koepka and the success and the experience he had at the Ryder Cup and put him with a new guy.
What do you think, Dylan?
I mean, I think the idea of pairing him with Dustin is always so tempting. You've got the Bash brothers out there, but they're both so kind of the strong, silent type. They're both so chill. I think throw him with Patty Reed, Captain America, and see if that can't get a rise out of him. Patrick Reed is like the ultimate fiery Ryder Cup American right now, and I'd love to see them get paired up and just see the effect that would have on Koepka, see if he really gets, fired up along with
Yeah, that would be fun.
Less chill.
Yeah, Koepka talked about being chill. If Reed can't fire him up in a match play event, I don't know if Brooks is going to get fired up. Jeff, Dylan, thanks so much for being with us, guys. All right, later in the show, we're going to catch up with another U.S. Open champion, Justin Rose. But first, the 2017 President's Cup is just 2 weeks away now. Sports Illustrated's Tiffany Oshinsky had a chance to sit down with the president and CEO of Lacoste North America to talk about the company's opportunity to design the uniforms for both teams. Take a look.
Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany Oshinsky here at Liberty National Golf Club in Jersey City, New Jersey, where in just a few weeks, the 2017 President's Cup will be held. And for the first time ever, one brand gets to design the uniforms for both the American and international teams, and that lucky brand is French clothing company Lacoste. And here to discuss these uniforms is co-founder of Dress for the Day, Anisha Mukherjee, as well as CEO and president of Lacoste North America, Joelle Grunberg. Thank you ladies so much for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Now Joelle, this is such an honor. So how do you feel as the CEO of Lacoste to be like, my brand is going to be designing these uniforms?
So yeah, as you said, we're very, very proud of that, to be a partner of that event. Our brand entered discussions with the PGA Tour last year, and we were discussing about this opportunity to relaunch the brand on the golf side of the business in the US. We have a very strong DNA in golf since the 30s. Our founder, René Lacoste, was obviously a very well-known tennis player, but his wife, Simone, was a very well-known golf player at that time. And she won the French Open 4 times. And they had a daughter, and their daughter, Catherine Lacoste, she was called the Crocodile Kid, won the US Open in golf in the 60s. So we really wanted to be strong again on the US market in golf. And when the PGA Tour, started discussions with us, we thought this is the unique opportunity for the next 10 years to represent the brand in the golf field in this market and also globally, because this event takes place every other year, sometimes in the US, but also sometimes, obviously in Asian countries.
So the selection process seemed a little bit organic and a natural fit for Lacoste, of course. So tell us a little bit about the design process, Joelle.
So the design process was also a very interesting piece. Altogether, we worked with the two captains, Steve Stricker and Nick Price, to understand exactly what their players wanted to wear. What type of pieces, what type of outwear, what type of fabrics, what fits, what colors. And it was really a very good process, very interesting back and forth process between what they wanted and what we thought would represent our brand in the best way, and how could we get these players to be elegant, but also very comfortable and very at ease in what they were wearing.
The President's Cup is going to be happening end of September, early October, and in the Northeast here, it's either 50 degrees and kind of cold and rainy, who knows, or it could be 70 and beautiful.
Yeah.
So how did that factor into the design?
So yeah, it was a very interesting fact because, it can be Indian summer, so as you said, you can be quite hot, and then a polo shirt or a t-shirt is really good for what they want, but it could also be, again, very windy, or it can be raining. So we came up with different propositions on layering pieces, like puff jackets, like cashmere sweaters, to be able to accommodate all the needs that they could have through the different weather. And it's also 5 or 6 days, 4 days of competition, so it could be a great weather on the Thursday, but it can be terrible on the Sunday. So we also need to be sure that they have all they need to accommodate the change in weather.
So we've seen, Joelle, that the materials and the silhouettes of the designs are kind of the perfect marriage of luxury fashion meets practical athletic wear. Cashmere sweaters, as you mentioned, and stretch fit polos. How have you seen this marriage of fashion and professional sports really come to surface over the last couple of years?
This is really a key point for the US market. The US market is shifting very strongly. The customer expectations in terms of fashion and apparel is really changing very quickly. And you know, the business for fashion has been quite tough in the US this couple of last years, except for what we call athleisure. And athleisure is what people want now. They want pieces that are, you know, elegant and practical, but also pieces that are breathable, that have stretch, that are very comfortable, very practical to wear. And I think where we can be very strong as a brand on this market is that, you know, this is exactly what we do. We like people to wear our products because they feel elegant in wearing them, but they also feel very, very comfortable in them. And I think that's the specific of the US market. It's a bit different elsewhere in Europe, for example. But here, this is really a strong expectation from the customer. And the brands that are having a bit of success right now are the brands that are able to accommodate that.
Well, thank you so much, Joelle and Nisha, for talking about these amazing uniforms. And we can't wait to see them in action at the President's Cup.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Everybody, Inspector Gadget back with you. Right now we're looking at the smooth swing. Pretty simple thing. I wouldn't even call it a gadget. It's just a rubber and polyester strap with an attachment in the middle. The idea behind the smooth swing is it keeps you in proper position at the top. The idea is right elbow pointed down, left arm extended, ready for your swing. That's the idea. Pretty simple. Slide your arms through, get strapped in, like you're under arrest. Tee your ball up. And you kind of feel that connected feel you're supposed to have when you swing a golf club. I mean, at least the one I'm told you're supposed to have. I've never had it before, but maybe the smooth swing will give it to me. Try hitting a shot. Oh, just piped, just pured. I don't know, my swing is probably not the best indication of all the smooth swing's potential, but it's simple, it's inexpensive, $11.99, and it does keep you feeling connected. I mean, we spend a lot more to get a lot less out of golf products. I'd go with this one.
I started playing golf, I would say, when I was 4. My dad, that was the earliest age when my parents put a club in my hand. But it wasn't really until I was 10 that I got really interested in it. It was kind of tough at the beginning, but once I got going and learned more about golf and my swing and everything, I was really eager to learn and to be the best that I could be. In Mississippi, we didn't really have a girls team for high school, so I played on the boys team. I won the high school boys state championship my senior year of high school. Playing with the guys in high school, I did kind of understand that they are going to hit it further. It's, you know, it's how God made us, and that's just a fact. But I think a lot of people don't really think about the type of work and effort that we put in every single day to be the best that we can be. And I think that is in 100% the same as the men. I feel like there's definitely a little bit of a skewed sense from the public to think that we may not be as good, or we may not hit it as good, or we may not putt as good. But I definitely know that these are the best in the world, and we train to be the best in the world. My coach sent me a message before the very last tournament, the Symetra Tour Championship, and he said, get over the hurdle this week. And you know, despite losing in the playoff at the Tour Championship, I honestly felt like I got over hurdle. While people don't really know what I've done in the past, I think I have a pretty good record to know that I do belong here and that my game's going to come around when it needs to come around. One thing that I take away is just the people that I get to meet out here. A big part of who I am is more than golf. It's about leaving a mark on people's lives. I'm just excited and hope that I can make a difference in the world, one stop at a time.
Hi,
I am Jessica Marksbury for Golf.com, and today I am so excited to enjoy a round with U.S. Open champion and gold medalist Justin Rose. Cheers to you,
Cheers.
Justin.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Different type of golf round.
We're having, wow, a fabulous Glenmorangie, which I've finally figured out how to pronounce it correctly. So thank you for the tutorial.
You're welcome.
Have you always been a Scotch man?
Yeah, I have. But to be honest with you, since being an ambassador for Glenmorangie, even more of a fan now, because I've kind of learned so much more about the creative process that goes into making these amazing Scotches. And you know, when you start to see kind of like the extremely rare 18-year-old, for example, here, and I kind of reflect back at my career, you know, I've been a pro 18 years now, and if I think about all the things that have elapsed over those 18 years, that's what's been happening inside a cask. So it's incredible to think the master distiller that's been concocting all of these and carefully aging them over the years is kind of equal to what I've been trying to do with my golf game.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating process, and like I said, that when I've learned the complexity of it, it makes me drink it and really appreciate what I'm looking for in the drink.
Well, a big part of what you do, obviously, is keeping yourself healthy, right? You're working out, you're eating well, you're practicing.
For sure.
How does drinking fit into all that? Are you able to just kind of set that all aside on occasion and enjoy a nice glass of scotch
Yeah, do you know what? I think, I mean, obviously when I'm on the road, when I'm working hard, when I'm focused on my game, I'm very much 100% focused upon that. I don't really blur the lines, I don't cross the line, but for me, performance is about having a balanced life as well. So when I'm away from the game, it's really important for the antenna to go down, for the brain to go soft, to recharge your battery so that you're then able to hit the road again, be fresh and ready to compete. So obviously that's where I would have a drink with friends, socialize. You know, that's when I'm kind of trying to get away from the game. I'm trying to let my brain go soft, like I was trying to say. And obviously that's the balance to life that everyone's trying to strive for. Work hard, play hard, get back out there, get focused, do your job, get back home, enjoy the fruits of your hard work. So kind of that cycle is kind of where I see all this fitting in.
Well, speaking of playing hard, we're here at Chelsea Piers in New York City. You can hear the ball machine rolling. It's a very busy driving range here in Manhattan. Do you ever get out to have fun at a place like Chelsea Piers where you're hitting balls, you're going to targets right here on the river, maybe a Top Golf type experience?
Right.
Is it ever fun for you as a professional to just go and hit balls?
Do you know what? I would say the thought of it is fun. Have I done it of late? Absolutely not. I mean, I can see that, you know, the Top Golf and the Chelsea Pier vibe here, you know, meet with a bunch of friends, have a couple drinks after work, especially when the summer comes around, you've got the late evenings. Just to go and play a late 9 holes with friends, you know, I love that. Some of the most fun I ever have on the golf course is actually also though when I'm by myself, carry my own bag, the long shadows on the ground, and I can just kind of be out there late evening. But once a year though I do it. I kind of get all my friends together and we do something called the JR Challenge, which is basically my oldest friends that I've grown up with since I was about 12 years old. And we kind of have a bit of a boys' holiday where we play 4 rounds of golf and do all of the fun things that go along with, you know, a bunch of guys on holiday together, obviously, you know, a few drinks and just really enjoy each other's company and reconnect because, you know, during the year I don't get a chance to see these guys. Most of them live back home in the UK, so that's the 1 week a year where I really get to kind of go back in time.
Yeah. Well, something else fun that you got to be a part of earlier this year was a birthday celebration for young Aaron on the European tour. Okay, this was the cutest video ever. Can you just talk to me about that whole experience and just making this kid's day? I think it went super viral, viewed maybe over 8 million times at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Obviously it was something the European Tour put together and I thought it was cute and I really wanted to be a part of it. And obviously with Beef involved, you always knew it was going to be good value. He's just brilliant, that guy. And you know, the way they set it up was a lot of fun. You know, and obviously I got in the car, Aaron was already in the car, and you know, I couldn't really sort of see what his facial expressions were, and I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, poor kid, he's being so quiet, he's probably overawed with the situation. The camera was picking up all of his great facial expressions.
Kept looking at his dad. Like...
Yeah, and he was having the time of his life, and obviously it was a great way for me and Henrik and Beef to all have a bit of banter with one another and bring him in on, and then Martin Keimer at the end was just so sweet with him and taking him out onto the 18th green. So, but the line was, Dad, this is the best thing you've ever done for me, or best gift you've ever got me. So it was so sweet, and obviously I'm glad it worked out.
Sets the bar pretty high, though. You have 2 young kids now. Are they expecting some outrageous surprise for their birthday after seeing this?
Oh man, they actually did. They did watch it, and I think that they still can't figure out why I'm in the car with a kid and why this kid would actually care that I'm in the car with them, because they don't see it as me as being overly special or famous or anything like that. So I think for them it's still quite weird to see me in that situation.
Well, we certainly love watching you play. We'll look forward to seeing you compete throughout the rest of the year. Cheers to you, Justin. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sometimes you get in a situation that's a little bit dicey. You've got a downhill side hill lie, grass is kind of tight, but it's also a little bit above my feet, which makes this shot very, very nasty because I've got a bunker in my way. If you don't have a lot of confidence in your chipping, you may not want to be hitting a lofted wedge over a bunker. Using the putter makes distance control very difficult, so instead of taking one of these, I'm going to use the hybrid. Take your putting setup, the ball's in the middle of my stance, choke down a little bit, do a practice stroke to get a sense for the grass, aim a little bit left of the bunker, and I'm going to land it just short of the green and have it roll all the way down to the hole. So instead of trying to fly it over the sand and taking all that risk, I take the hybrid, I get it bounding down onto the green, and I've got a great chance to get it up and down.
Oh, I love the hybrid chip. Thanks to Brady, and of course, thanks to Jess and Justin Rose and the rest of the crew, Tiffany and Nisha, for their contributions to today's show as well. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Golf Live. We're going to be back with you with a brand new episode next week, previewing the Tour Championship. Plus, we're going to sit down with the match play master, Ian Poulter. Until then, be sure to stick with Golf.com for all the latest golf news and exclusive video content. And don't forget, of course, to follow us on social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.